there's some stories out on the border issue today. I read one in the news break, in fact, about the border crisis and how a judge has upheld the Title 42, saying the federal government can prevent immigrants from coming over the border as though they needed that because that's part of their job. But anyway, they can prevent that because in a pandemic, according to the CDC, it's just too risky for immigrants to be coming here. So there's that. But then here's this story. Biden admin spells out vaccine or termination process for Border Patrol out of Breitbart News. So like United Airlines, like the hospitals we've been talking about that are laying off their medical workers, New York is among them. There's been other states that have done the same thing. Well, the U.S. Border Patrol is now saying you don't get the vax, you're going to be terminated. There's another story I'm going to read in the next news break about how Mayorkas is saying they don't have enough personnel to manage the crisis on our border. There's been a report out yesterday that 60,000 Haitians are now moving north towards our border because the last 15,000 living under that bridge in Del Rio wasn't good enough, I guess. So the article I'm about to read in the next break says, come November, anybody who comes across after November, that's when they're going to start trying to push back. So you're sending kind of a clear message that says you got at least a whole month to try to get across that border without problems. So if we don't have enough resources to deal with our crisis, why would we lay off the very people tasked with dealing with our crisis? Why would we get rid of the kind of people we need to help us secure our border? Again, I've said this many times. I feel like there ought to be a way to have sensible border policy to let the good guys in and keep the bad guys out. And we never seem to find that. It just always seems to elude us some way, somehow. Maybe it's because politics is what drives our policies rather than common sense. And that's a big issue for me. Here's another story out of the Blaze media. There is a lot of crazy stuff going down on Capitol Hill as a result to the heartbeat bill in Texas, which I know many other states are looking at as well. They're like, this may work. I mean, there's now some almost 3,000 lives have been saved as a result, just so far, as a result of the heartbeat bill in the state of Texas. Well, Rep. Presley, I think she's from Massachusetts, claims that abortion prohibitions are rooted in patriarchy and white supremacy. Is that the case? Is abortion really a white supremacist thing? Maybe it's because a disproportionate amount of African American children are aborted. Maybe it's because a disproportionate amount of children of color find themselves murdered in abortion. Why is that? What are the causes that lead up to the point where a mom has to make a decision? And the only choice, and many times that she's offered, is the abortion. What are those? What does that process look like? Have we even asked that? No, because we ignore all of that point. We only look at the point of abortion, and then they make these crazy claims. She says, this article goes on to say, Democrat Rep. Presley from Massachusetts said during a House committee on oversight and reform hearing on Thursday that abortion bans are grounded in patriarchy and white supremacy. She decried a Texas law that took effect this month, which prohibits conducting abortions after a fetal heartbeat has been detected, except in the case of medical emergency. The legislation allows people to lodge a civil action against those who fail to comply with the law and stipulates that if the claimant prevails, the court should award statutory damages of at least $10,000 per violation. Quote, we find ourselves in the midst of an unprecedented wave of coordinated attacks on the reproductive freedom and bodily autonomy. And Texas's horrendous and extreme, she says, SB 8 abortion ban underscores the urgency of this moment. The year 2021 has been the most devastating for abortion rights in American history, Presley said. Did you see that? Bodily autonomy. The whole my body, my choice doesn't work for vaccines now, does it? Tell that to the Border Patrol agents that are about to lose their jobs, the hundreds and hundreds of medical staff personnel who have lost their jobs. My body, my choice, huh? As golly gee whiz, I guess it only applies to abortion, which, by the way, it just so happens that the baby with the heartbeat has its own body. It ain't your body, it's the child's body that's going to lose its life. Let's pray for those and the conversion of those that would support abortion. We'll be right back. More breaking news and stories, and Chief Byers is coming up next.